Good morning, intermediate algebra students. It's time for our first flipped classroom lesson. We're actually watching this in class, as you can see, just so you can get a feel for what this might be like and what I'd expect you guys to do outside of class. First thing I'd like you to do is, in your notebook, just title the lesson. So you could actually write down this 1-3 order of operations. Write that down on the top of your notebook. And then I'm gonna ask you right now just to try or watch as I explain these two problems. Notice they're both exactly the same, and the directions here are to evaluate. That means we're going to try to come up with some answer. So let's just see how we can. I'm going to show them to you two ways. You tell me which one you think is correct. Alright, so I take a look at this left one. I'm just going to go left to right here. I know that 5 plus 2 is 7, and then I'm just going to write down all the other steps here. 7 times 6, I believe, is 42, right? And 42 divided by 3, you may need your calculator, but I believe that is the number 14. And then 14 minus 4 is 10. So that looks reasonable enough, I suppose, right? But let's just take a look at another way of doing this. Something looks a little bit fishy about these adding and subtracting signs, as you may recall. So rather than do those first, I'm going to do the multiplication and division. And so I know that 2 times 6 is 12. I'm going to do that first. Then I'm going to write out the rest of the steps here. One very important thing on these kind of problems is to work down the page. So now I'm left with this. Here I see another division sign. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that first. So now I have 5 plus 4 minus 4. Now I have everything added and subtracted, so I can just go left to right. 5 plus 4 is 9, and 9 minus 4 is 5. So which one do you think is the correct way of doing that? Well, yes, as you might have guessed, it is this side right here. This is the best way to do that. And we'll discuss why, something you've heard of before, I'm pretty sure. Indeed, it's this thing called PEMDAS. PEMDAS. You should write this down. You don't have to write down the whole little factory business they have here. But go ahead and write PEMDAS. We'll talk about what that means here on the next slide. Sure enough, the way to remember this is the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And you can write down those words, certainly. Don't have to write down Aunt Sally, or you can make your own rendition of her, perhaps. But this is something called the order of operations. When we evaluate things, this is the order that we have to do them. The P stands for parentheses. Anytime something's in parentheses, do that. E is for exponents. That's like the little number that's above a variable or number. That's called an exponent or a power. Do that next. My dear has equal power, standing for multiplication and division. That's why on that last problem we did the multiplication and division first before we did any addition and subtraction. And that's our last two letters. That's how that works. Okay, so this is a familiar thing which I'm sure you've heard. Now let's actually practice a couple of these. I'm going to, we'll just kind of work through these together for now. So here we go. Let's try the first one. So I do see some parentheses, so I want to do that first. And even in the parentheses, I have some exponents. So I like to write out stuff, and you'll be expected to do that too. I'm going to do the exponents. 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. And then I have this dot here, which is like a times symbol. Now I still need to do the parentheses first. So 9 minus 4 is 5. And then I have my times 2 there. Now, tempting for a lot of students to do the 12 minus 5, but my next step should actually be the 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and then I have 12 minus 10, which is 2. There's my final answer for that particular problem. All right, let's try the next one. Now, the next one, ooh, there's a nasty tone goofing up my recording here, but that's fine. Now, whenever you have a fraction, it's a little tricky. We have something that we called implied parentheses. So really, when we look at a fraction-y thing like this, you can imagine that there's parentheses around the top and the bottom. That means we want to perform or simplify everything on the top or the numerator first, then the denominator. Do that as much as possible. So let's take a look at that. Notice I have 2 to the third. That's not 6. It does mean 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So I'm going to write that down. I have 8 divided by 4, 2 plus that on top. On the bottom then, here's one of those exponents again, 36 minus, now I can go ahead and multiply those right away now as well, and 5 times 6 is 30. Now getting back to the top part, 2 plus 8 divided by 4, yeah, I'd want to do that 8 divided by 4 first, wouldn't I? So I'm going to really have 2 plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. Meanwhile, on the bottom, 36 minus 30, remember those parentheses are around there, so that's going to be 6. 2 plus 2 is 4, so my final answer is going to be 4 over 6. You can actually reduce that to the fraction 2/3. Now, that's kind of tricky, but we'll work on some more of those certainly. Now, sometimes we do this order of operations when we have an actual algebraic expression. That's what it's called when we have goofy letters like this, an algebraic expression. But notice they tell us in this case that A is some value and B is some value and C and D, so on and so forth like that. So really we're just going to plop those values in place of those variables and just write it out. So C squared is going to be 4 squared minus, and then C plus A will be 4 plus 2, right? And then it's going to be divided by D, which is 5. Now it's not too much different from the other ones we saw. Again, what do I do first? The parentheses. So I can actually do the exponent here as well, I think. 4 squared is 16. 4 plus 2 is 6. And then we have divided by 5. That wasn't too smart on my part, making a goofy problem like that, unless I did something bad here. No, it looks like I have everything correct. I think I probably just made a goofy number. Technically, what I should do here first is the 6 divided by 5. 6 divided by 5, I believe, is 1.2 if you check that out on your calculator. And 16 minus 1.2, my final step, should give me 14.8. Kind of a dumb answer, but hopefully you'll forgive me for that one. Alright, so that's what, and you can give yourself a high five right now for completing our first online lesson, even though we did it in class. That's all it should look. Alright, very good. Thanks.